Big good one here, and eventually we will like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Help promote and rank up my channel. So we're here to review Black Adam spoiler review. It's a movie I said I'd never see, but DC content is so lacking these days. And up front, I'm gonna tell you, it was very mediocre. It was very meh. But I'm Fate, and it has Dr. Fate in it, and maybe I'm biased, but I think he was the best thing about the film, other than spoiler that the whole internet knows by now, but Superman Returns. Henry Cavill Superman Returns, because douchebag Walter Hamadan wanted to keep him locked out. But this, I think, even though this film is mediocre, average at best, this opens a long dormant doorway with Henry Cavill returning as Superman. Positives: it has a lot of action. It really is a roller coaster ride, a whirlwind, if you will. Cyclone, Atom Smasher. The end credits are sadly the best part of the film, though. Bringing back Henry Cavill as Superman. Aside from him, the connective tissue is Amanda Waller and the Wizard from Shazam.
You don't act like heroes anymore. And that's why I'm quitting the Justice League.
As far as The Rock, I was never really down with his whole "this is my passion project" or whatever, because he's not doing the ears, he doesn't have the accent, the hair. But as far as Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam, he's stoic and comedic in a more bleak avenue, so it is a little different than The Rock's usual stick that he always has, that he always does in films. He doesn't have the ears, the accent, but I do feel like The Rock actually tried to be a little different in this role than every other role he's in. And Noah, the guy that plays Atom Smasher, is very much a newbie, comedic relief in here. Not really that funny, but portrayed as amateurish. His performance, it's not the best, but he has great on-screen chemistry with the girl that plays Cyclone, and Cyclone was better than I expected. I wasn't down with the race swap for the film, the no more pale skin, freckled face version redhead, but she has a pretty accurate attire, which is more than I can say for something like Deadpool 2 with Domino. The Whiplash departure there, that was completely unnecessary. They made no effort to make her look like the character. They actually made effort to make her look the opposite of the character. But the color palette for Cyclone, it's pretty visually dazzling when it's on screen, as Cyclone like swirls around, kind of like a discount storm. I surprisingly enjoyed the character for what it was. Not that there's really much depth or anything there. As for Dr. Fate, though, he was mostly good. The most interesting of the JSA, and his sit back and watch amusement mentality. Just watching Hawkman and Black Adam like go at each other's throats. James Bond 007 as Dr. Fate delivered convincing performances that I really wanted more of. His friendship with Hawkman was probably the closest thing to depth any of the characters had in any kind of relationship showcased in the film. Hawkman, portrayed by Aldous Hodge. I'm familiar with the guy from Leverage. The actor does have depth, range. Not really shown here. He's just angry guy. Or this version of Hawkman, he delivers a convincing enough performance as an antagonistic force to Black Adam, and it can be amusing. But that's all I can really say. Positives on the character: there's really not much story here or anything to highlight as a positive. There's some quality action. Black Adam kills people, just like it doesn't matter at all. They're irrelevant and they're nothing to me. So that's amusing, but let's go ahead and talk about the negatives.
I'm quitting the Justice League.
So there are multiple child actors in this film. They don't deliver convincing performances. Not to me anyway. I'm just like, I could do without them, really. Mostly the one in present day time setting, as he's more included. That's the one I could really do without. The cliche fanboy meets his hero. It's pretty awful when he rallies everybody, all the people, to fight an army of the dead. An army of the dead that looks like it's really lacking detail, a touch, a final touch, a polish. They looked awful. Hawkman comes off with swagger. Egotistical and kind of unlikable. His whole heroes don't kill makes no sense in the DCEU when he's working for Amanda Waller. Superman, Batman, everyone kills in the DCEU. And this never seemed to be much of a problem, but Hawkman's really going off about it in here, and why didn't he ever go after anybody else? Why? The JSA, obviously established, has been around for quite some time in here, yet heroes don't kill, except for, all the main ones. Their approach to Black Adam, that too doesn't sound very hero-like. Dr. Fate tells him to kneel or die.
You don't act like heroes anymore.
The human characters caught in the middle of all this fighting aren't really compelling. They aren't interesting, but they aren't downright awful either. They're just kind of there because the film has mostly no story and just needs something to pad it out. They're a plot device. The narrative driving characters. Cyclone, Atom Smasher are mostly only here for visual effect. They don't have any depth or really any contributing. They don't contribute anything to the narrative, really. And Dr. Fate unfortunately dies rather than Hawkman, who always gets reincarnated anyway. So I don't know why they went that route. I mean, I know the helmet goes to other people anyway, but this was a really good Dr. Fate. It was an okay Dr. Fate. They could have done more. It felt a little bit too Doctor Strange. But Dr. Fate was way more interesting, way more likable than anybody else in this film to me. The Rock has hyped up this film for like 7 to 10 years. And it's littered with superhero film cliches. He kept talking about this thing like it was going to be groundbreaking, amazing. You know, that whole WWE stage mentality is what he has. The film itself felt pretty dull, unoriginal. The entire film itself is pretty bizarre without Shazam.
And that's why I'm quitting the Justice League.
There are backstories and subplots that are barely there and go nowhere. Black Adam is invincible. Our main character never convincingly feels in danger because nothing can hurt him or stop him. And well, except for that one thing that was barely brushed upon and just kind of dropped and never brought up again. Guess save it for the sequel, guys. And in the end, the JSA just leaves him alone because Black Adam killed everybody he wanted to. The villain of this film also really feels shoehorned in. Like, flimsy excuse to not unite Black Adam in the JSA for generic villain, complete with Skybeam tradition. And then there's Intergang occupying this place. And for some reason, no heroes have come to stop them. Not Batman, not Superman. Intergang is here. And they're just kind of here to be slaughtered by Black Adam. The whole inclusion of Intergang itself raises way more questions. You could have just picked generic government guys or something different. The story structure of this film feels like it has 4 acts instead of 3. Instead of a beginning, middle, end, it has a beginning, middle, misleading end that takes up the equivalent of a whole act. Then the real end, the 3rd act, that's actually the 4th act. So the JSA become the focus in the 3rd act, and Black Adam is sidelined in his own film. The 4th act brings back Black Adam because it just remembered who the title character is. It wasn't as bad as most of Marvel Phase 4 has been. To me, anyway. Others may feel differently. I think this is a 5 out of 10, a pretty average film with lots of flaws and problems. Very few positives. It's a mixed bag. Average film. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. How excited are you for Henry Cavill to be back, if you care at all? Most people seem to care, but there's also a lot of people that just want to completely depart from everything that remotely resembles the Snyderverse. There's that too. Like, subscribe, comment, stay awesome, rock on.